Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
You are most welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, like and also share to other members to watch as well. You can equally leave a comment at the comment section after watching or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277 128 Thank you. Today, I want you to join me listening to a hot crash between Inusah Fuseini and that of the NPP MP representative on a hot debate or a hot crash on the budget reading. And I want you to join me listening to what happened and what they discussed. And do leave a comment duly pertaining to what you have watched. Please, this is from Inusah. Just share your views, share your ideas, or send us your grievances through our WhatsApp number as earlier stated. Thank you. Without much ado, I would like you to join me listening to what they said or their suggestion on the budget reading. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Budget that was presented on the floor of Parliament by Honorable KCL, Dr. KCL Atuforsen. Yeah. So, Honorable, let me start with you because it's your party.
Well, so I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that Stephen Amoah has hailed the finance minister. I'm also not surprised that Richard Ahilija has hailed the finance minister. Anyagba has hailed the finance minister. The reviews, the positive reviews that have come out of the presentation of the budget by the Finance Minister KCL Atuforsen is quite encouraging, and it's a breath of a refreshing, fresh air. Indeed, on 11th March signified a historic, a momentous day in the history of our country, and a marked departure from what we have always known. In listening to Atu, it was very easy to follow him. When you get the budget statement that he presented in Parliament, it's readable. And when you read it, it's relatable. And so, I mean, clearly, I'm not surprised at all that the budget has received a lot of positive reviews. And the confidence that has been reposed in Atuforsen and the government ought to be applauded, and by the society, in the sense that the budget is a restoration of the hope for the people of this country. Now, we had said, and you remember, Kwame, that in November 2023, and precisely on the 4th of November 2023, I was on a sister network. And that was, I think that was the day that the NPP was having their Congress, 4th November. And they asked me whether the NDC feared Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And I said our fear was not Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Our fear was the mess that we were going to inherit as a party. And since we were not in government, all we could do was to, to get an impression of the kind of mess that we were going to inherit, to see what was happening around us. Because, like the Gombes say, if you want to know the crop in season, you have to look at the droppings on the road. And so you could see everywhere recklessness, you could see wasteful expenditure, you could see indiscipline, financial indiscipline, and there were many. The corruption was at its highest, and flaunting of wealth was clearly unexplainable. And so you could see these things. So, and these things could only come through the public expenditure, use of public resources. And so we were clearly, aware, or we could anticipate that a future government of the NDC could be confronted with a huge budgetary problem. And we have been vindicated. And to the extent that I just want to draw your attention to parts of the budget. Now, when you look at what the previous NPP government left for the people of this country by way of handing over notes, you will see that the IPPs, government owes them about $1.73 billion. $1.73 billion. Now, people have already started complaining that our lives are not stable. But that government that just left a debt of $1.7 billion, $1.73 billion owed to the IPPs. ECG itself, a whopping 68 billion cedis debt. Now, you look at the cocoa board. Cocoa board that is not supposed to be raking in debts. Apart from the front loading, front sales, they themselves have recorded a 32 billion cedi debt. 32 billion. These are handed over. These are things that we inherited. The road fund, when I was the minister, a lot of fetish was made with my 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion. I mean, that was the debt that was owed the road fund. Even out of the 1.5 billion cedis, we had 600 million cedis sitting at the UBA bank. So effectively, it was about 900 million. Now, road fund alone, budget, the debt that is owed contractors is 5.75 billion. 5.75 billion cedis. That does not include the 100 billion Ghana cedis that has been given out on road contracts. Without commencement certificates, without authorization, without budgetary lines, and in breach of the Public Financial Management Act. That doesn't even include that. Now, when you recall Comrade Pratt, on this platform, we had said that the Bank of Ghana, Addison, was reckless to the extent that he had even recorded a negative equity in the bank. And we said that that was a loss. The bank was at pains to tell us that it was not a loss. We further said that the bank, because of what they had done, they will need a bailout. The bank came out and said that no, they don't need a bailout. Now we have been told that they need 53 billion cedis bailout. 53 billion cedis bailouts. Now, you know, when the minister went to the Ministry of Finance, they reviewed the tax refund accounts. What shocked him was that it was being used as a slush fund. Yeah. Well, and without regard even to the laws of the country. A fund that had been set up to refund taxes to people who had overpaid, paid in advance, and all those. The money there was used in contravention of the tax, the tax refund account, the purpose for which the tax refund account was set up. Now, so our situation clearly is that all the indicators that the NPP government in entering into negotiations with the IMF had been breached. All of them. So you wonder what the government was doing. And little wonder that Honorable Kofi Amabua had said that the reign of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is a timely reminder of how not to govern a country. Clearly, the budget speaks to that our country was not being governed properly. This should explain why His Excellency John Dramani Mahama called it a crime scene. But the budget said that we should not lose hope, because Atufosun says that there comes a time in the country's history, in the nation's history, when fundamental challenges have to be confronted. When difficult choices have to be made, and when a new course will have to be charted. The budget itself appreciates these challenges and is confronting the challenges. What gladdened my heart was that from day one, we have said that, and at a point, some NPP people agreed with us, that yes, a very laudable project or program like the free senior high school education, which was introduced by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, ought to have a dedicated source of funding, so that we can put quality and quantity, we can match quantity and quality, and ensure that the program and the students who go through the program are fit for promotion advancement in their lives. They can go further and become useful and responsible citizens of this country. But Nana Akufo-Addo answered us. He said the free senior high school program was a choice, and that he had chosen to bring about that policy, and he had also chosen to use our oil resources to fund the free senior high school education. That was his answer to us. Now, so when John Dramani Mahama said, I will review it, they thought review was cancellation. But review has now come not to be cancellation. Review is putting the free senior high school on a solid pedestal. Now, for the first time in the history of this country, we know where money for this year's free senior high school, which stands at 3.5 billion, is going to come from. Now, we also know that in 2016, we had said that we need to expand intake of teachers, we need to also expand intake of nurses, but because we were paying allowances to teachers and nurses, we were implementing a quota system, because there was only a number of nurses and teachers that you could take care of. The NPP said, oh, 1 week we will pay allowances. Now, so the allowances policy has come to stay. And we have abandoned and departed from what we said earlier. So we have taken it. But like policy, when a policy is implemented and is facing challenges, a new government has to look at the policy and improve upon it. For the first time in the history of this country, under this budget, the teachers and nurses are going to be receiving their allowances on regular basis. On regular basis, monthly. And so that again puts the situation where nurses and teachers will picket. Nurses and teacher trainees will picket. Demanding their allowances will be a thing of the past. We had said that, look, what has actually brought us to this situation is the physical indiscipline, the rising inflation, the instability of the cedi, and the greatest threat that all this brings about is joblessness. In fact, I looked at a recent CDD report through the Afro Barometer reports, and conducted in August 2024, and job creation topped the list of priorities of the citizens of this country. Now, John Dramani Mahama has rolled out a lot of initiatives. Fortunately, those initiatives are largely in the agricultural sector and also in the infrastructure sector. The big push and the Greek for economic transformation agenda. Again, the Ministry of Trade and Industries has now gotten a new name in addition, agro-business. Now when you improve upon agric, and let me hasten to say that agric appears to be the central axis, the focal point on which to place the 24-hour economy. That when you give impetus, support, and facilitate the production of food, you not only have food sufficiency. When you reach the stage of food sovereignty, private enterprise will try to convert what becomes excesses into processed foods. And that is the basis of, and to convert that, you will need to have industrialization machines that will be able to process the excess food. And those people, those companies will be working more. They will need labor to be able to do that. So you are going to create opportunity for job creation. And then they might have to work extended hours. And those extended hours might be the 24-hour rotation of 8 hours each to get the processed food done. Now, we are also saying that the budget itself looks at so you have the investment side and you have the people who are greatly disadvantaged by reason of the circumstances of their place of origin, the circumstances of their parents, and the fact that they're old. They're just old, and so they can do no useful work now. So you see that the LEAP program has been enhanced. More are coming onto that program in recognition of the fact that there's a growing population of older people who will need to be supported.
You guys should have considered my policy. You know my policy, I sent it to you.
Yeah, I know your policy, but who says that we are not considering it? Yes, I know that. Yeah, but then you have school children.
Wow, he's smiling.
Yeah, so I'm smiling because we discussed extensively.
Exactly.
Your policy.
But you should have acknowledged that at least Kwame, we took something small from you. Hey, NBC. I've heard them NBC.
So the school children, poverty is making people not able to buy sanitary pads for their children. And the children, because of the fact that naturally they have to go through a cycle of menstruation, when that comes, because they don't want to be embarrassed, they skip school. And that affects the attendance of the girl child to school and the performance of the girl child in school. So as a social intervention policy, this budget addresses that concern.
Again, Amaprat
is part of the government.
Yeah. Don't touch my peer.
Yeah. She's part of the government, so maybe she took it there. No, textbooks.
Yeah.
For a long time, we told the previous government that there was no point paying teachers and not giving them the tools with which to work. There was no point. And then you could see pictures of children being in classrooms, and the teacher standing at the blackboard or at the board. Now there are some whiteboards as well, and teaching, and then they are copying, writing the notes. Have one book is writing the notes on the blackboard, and the children are busily copying the notes because he has the only one book, and so we cannot go around. So this budget addresses that as well. In a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that the budget looks at the component parts of society, allocates resources for these component parts for the purposes of growing the economy, for the purposes of sustainability of programs, ongoing programs, and ensures that if we go by this framework, Ghana will be resetting Ghana. So that clearly, opens up the agenda of the NDC to reset this country on the trajectory of growth, job creation, accountability, and all that.
All right, thank you very much. Honorable.
Yes, my brother.
You've listened to your colleague.
Yes, I've listened to my senior colleague.
Your senior colleague.
Yes. And when I went to Parliament, I was privileged to serve on the Finance Committee. That was when I met Ato. He was then the ranking member. And then Adongo was his deputy. Now let me make some confession here. Everything I know about the budget and how to interpret it and read it, it was Ato and Adongo who assisted me. In fact, the first time I made my contributions on the budget on the floor, it was Adongo who guided me in the voter region when we were having the post-budget conference. When I was informed I was going to debate on Tuesday, he was the first person I approached. And then he guided me as to where he thinks I should focus my attention on, being my first time. I remember when we traveled to Washington on our first trip as Finance Committee for the annual World Bank and Spring meetings. I had a problem with my Visa card. And the hotel we were lodging in did not accept cash. It was Ato who paid for my hotel bill. So I have a great deal of respect for Ato. Indeed, if you listen to him and if you watch the atmosphere on the floor, he comes across as somebody who interacts very nicely with even members from the other side. So there was very less heckling. And you could see that everybody allowed him to, apart from the fact that he's one of us, he's somebody we respect in the house. I don't think anybody expected anything less in terms of the delivery from Ato, because we've listened to him over the years. But budget is a process. You know, what he read was normally the policy underpinnings of the budget. And then we get an opportunity to look at the figures and find out whether the figures support his policy underpinnings and whether whatever he says, he'll back it with some financial support to make it a reality. My senior brother began to give a history of how we left the government for the NDC. But of course, interestingly and conveniently, he mentioned just three areas. He talked about energy, cocoa board, and then he mentioned one other area, roads. But he also forgot, or maybe because of time, did not go to other areas. And Ato was very candid on the floor that he's inheriting an economy that is growing at 5.7% GDP. We took the economy from them in 2017 at 3.6%. But he is inheriting an economy that is growing at 5.7%. My senior brother then talks about a reset and hoping that they will build upon what we have given them. If it is wrong, they'll make it better. If it is better, they'll take it even a step further. But this is what the budget is telling us. This is from Ato. GDP, he's inheriting 5.7, but he anticipates that by the end of 2025, it will grow at 4.0. I'm not too sure whether that is a reset or a decline. This is from Ato, and this is his budget. I'm reading from the 2025 budget. Agriculture is growing now at 2.8. He wants to take it to 4.8. Fantastic. Industry, according to Ato's budget, is growing at 7.1%. Provisional figures for 2024. He intends to grow it to 3.8%. This is his budget. I'm not too sure whether that is a reset or that is a decline. According to his budget, services is growing at 5.9%. He intends to grow it to 3.8%. I don't know whether that is a growth or it's a decline. So I'm saying that behind the beautiful rhetoric, the figures will tell us whether indeed he means what he says. My good senior brother talks about allocations, and that they were allocated to specific areas to boost the economy. In this budget, we are being told that 70 million cedis has been allocated to research at the presidency. What that research means, we don't know. 70 million has been allocated to research, but 51 million has been allocated to Women's World Banking. Between the two, we are not too sure which one is the priority and which one will help us boost the economy, as my senior brother is talking about. He talks about cutting down expenditure. This year, and this year's budget, expenditure, appropriations, in 2024, the total expenditure was 226 billion. The person was 226 billion. In 2025, they want to spend 268.7 billion. I'm not too sure whether that is a cut in expenditure or it's an increase in expenditure. I'm not too sure about that. So I'm saying that the figures will tell you. He also went ahead and talked about IPPs, and that we've left a debt in the energy sector. This is Ato Forsen. And the reason why I like Ato is his candidness. If you look at appendix or paragraph 136, what he read on the floor, he said, we will complete the IPP capacity renegotiations. And this is where I want you to listen to generate some savings through negotiated lower fixed capacity charges. He is acknowledging that when they were going about the negotiations with the IPPs prior to 2017, and we've been complaining about the take or pay charges and the kind of negotiations they did. Anytime we complained, they said no, everything was done right. Today, he is here telling us that they are going back to renegotiate the IPPs in order to make some savings. So if you come here and you say the energy sector debt has gone up, IPP debt has gone up, who caused them? Who caused them? And today he's back to accept that what they did caused us some problems and that he is prepared to renegotiate in order to make some savings. So I'm saying that, and we'll be having an opportunity on the floor to interrogate the figures. But in all honesty, a lot of the things that he says, he talks about big push. He says a 10 billion big push. Do you know the allocation in the budget? 800 million for this year. Let's even extrapolate and says he did 1 million a year. In 4 years, he would have just given them $4 million. But he's talking about 10 billion. How realistic is that big push of 10 billion? When the money available to push that big push this year is 800 million. So the rhetoric may be nice out there, people will be excited, but the figures to back that rhetoric is not showing on in the budget. And that is my challenge. I'm just hoping if at compensation alone to the Office of Government Machinery has moved from 326 million in 2024 to 2.7 billion in 2025. This is a government with 60 ministers. Compensation, Office of Government Machinery, has moved from 326 million Ghana cedis to 2.7 billion according to the budget. So I'm saying that yes, it looked nice. He spoke beautifully. And my hope is that all that he's trying to do, he will achieve them. Because if he achieves them, it is the benefit of us. He also tells us here under the energy sector that we should be getting ready for the quarterly adjustment. And that even at the last end, there's going to be a major tariff adjustment. He also announces that the weighted average cost of gas is going to move from $7.80 to $8.45. he intends to reverse the discount that we gave to ceramic companies at $4.20. He intends to reverse that. So that's what I'm saying, that he spoke beautifully. He's my very good friend. But we'll interrogate the figures. And so far, the interrogation we are doing is not giving us that kind of comfort and that kind of hope that a lot of the things that he said will be able to get better. But you see, he's a politician. A lot of things they said during campaign, if you listen to him, I'm telling you, if you're an NDC person, you'll be excited. You'll be excited because you hear betting tax is taking off. E-levy has been taken off. You'll be excited about it. Emissions tax, of course, we know that emissions have never been charged anyway. But you'll be excited on the face of it that he's giving you some hope and some indication that something extraordinary is going to happen. But I'm saying that if you interrogate the figures, I'm afraid to say that it does not support a lot of the things that he intends to do. I don't see any cost-cutting measures because I've told you that the expenditure, the appropriation that he's brought to us is far, far higher than the expenditure that was incurred by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa. So yes, I wish him well. We'll continue to support him. And he knows that I wish him well. He knows he's my friend. I wish him well. But I'm just praying, and this is not the end of the budget preparation. You know, once it's been laid, it will be referred to a committee, and the various committees will be sitting on. Maybe during the interrogation, we may have to reduce the research of 70 million to add it to the Women's World Bank. Of course, everybody knows how a bank is started. You need about 400 million Ghana cedis as capital. So 50 million obviously cannot be a bank. The best it can be is a savings and loans or a microfinance company. So if he comes on the floor and tells you that he has allocated 51 million Ghana cedis to set up a women's world banking, and it excites you when you are in the market and you listen to him, knowing very well that 50 million cannot set up a bank, that is where people will then begin to analyze the statement that you have made and come to the conclusion that, hey, let's relax, let's take our time and see how things unfold.
I've seen some social media posts about how betting tax and all the other taxes have been removed, but 4 new taxes have been increased. This is something that has been put forward by the NPP.
That is true.
You want to explain that?
Oh, I can if you want me to get that. He mentioned that he's proposing to increase the growth and sustainability levy from 1% of gross production to 3%. That's an increase. That's a new tax. Now, there was a sunset clause which said by 2025, this growth and sustainability levy should be taken off. He has extended that sunset clause to 2028. The special import levy, he has also extended the sunset clause, and he made it clear here that we will also propose to extend the sunset clause of the special import levy to 2028. Yes, so there are some new things that he has brought into the fray. But as I said, I wish him well. We'll be there to support him. I've told you that he's a very good friend of mine. But the figures I'm seeing do not support some of the big policy initiatives that they put
forward. Mr. Pratt, please.
He has to leave.
No, Honorable, that's unfortunate. I don't want you here. I think you should make a commitment to the viewers, not us.
Yeah.
That will be coming regularly.
I've already made that
You made that commitment.
On air.
Yeah,
The viewers. So the viewers can hold you up.
Yeah, so Honorable has said some things that clearly need some clarification. And because he says it may well be, because we don't have the figures yet. We don't have the fine details of the budget. So you are in a privileged position. So we will actually not argue with you on that. So I just want to draw your attention to something. When you say you are growing the economy to 4%, you are looking at where you left it. Your year on year was 5.7.
end year 2020.
So year on year, any year. But your last quarter was 3.6.
Well, it's
No. So if you are going to grow your economy, you are going to grow it from the 3.6.
No.
Your year on year is 5.7.
No.
Your last quarter is 3.6.
But
So you can't take. So when they take all the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and average it.
We are talking about averages now.
Now,
So
and average it.
the point of departure is 3.6.
No.
That's the point of
Departure.
No.
You understand? Yes. So that is it. So when you are growing from where you left it. So we are saying that, look, because of the point you left it, we are going to grow it to 4. So you say we should grow it from 5.7. You are discounting where you left it. That's what that means. The second thing is
economics.
The second thing is that you said your budget was 226. Correct. But that's not your out end.
Even allocation to the
No, that was when they in 2024 their budget was 226. Correct.
Appropriations.
Yes, but the out end was 278.
We couldn't go above appropriations.
Why? Where do you record that high level of deficit? No. So again, that is why we are holding you accountable.
We can't go above
That's why we are holding you accountable. That's why your depreciation, your deficit increased. Why do you think you spent more than your budget, so your deficit increased? So go look at it. And so that is why Atufosi is telling you that we are going to save 10 billion because your out end was 2.78
I'll show you the appropriation for 2025.
I agree. It's different. What you have agreed that you have spent.
Yes.
Which is different.
From what you have spent.
And I'll tell you the
What
total
you have spent.
I'll tell you the total expenditure.
So that is the
You can't go above appropriation.
Oh, you always.
You always do.
You can't go above the appropriation.
Always do.
Then you break the law. You can't.
Yeah, that's what we're holding you. You bring the law. You bring the law.
You've not gone above that.
So the last one I'm going to talk about is the sunset. And Uncle Kosi, you are right. So we are saying that the natural resources must belong to us. Many countries have done that. But short of getting there yet, we are saying that gold prices have increased so dramatically on the world market. And we were taking 1%. So we said, no, we must also benefit from the increase from the world market.
Windfall tax.
Yes. Windfall tax. The Australia calls it windfall tax. So we move it to 3%.
And you are complaining about that. So the multinationals
Money.
and we should
Stop, make money.
We should implement e-levy so that multinationals can make more money. What is that argument about?
So, but for extending sunset clauses, you started it. The airport levy. When Jerry imposed the airport tax levy.
What was your reaction?
You came and extended it. You said, oh, I will still need that money. So we extended. So we are learning it from you.
Just a quick one. I've already made a point about allocations. The allocations gives us an indication of the government's priority areas.
Sure.
So it's very important.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so, you see, I have the budget here. Research department, goods and services, 50 million. Capex, the research department, their capex in terms of buying of cars and all that thing, 20 million. Total 70 million. Now, Kuti made a very interesting point about a team of 5 communicators, communication at the presidency. Yeah. Now, listen to their figures. Government communication, goods and services, 8,803,000. 8 million for 5 people.
No, you are making a mistake.
Oh, Uncle Kwesi.
No.
You mentioned 5.
No, let me show you how you are making the mistake. Government communication is not necessarily by 5 people. Government communication may include the erection of billboards, may include campaigns.
I'm not coming to the capex.
Yeah,
I'm coming to capex.
Hold on. So to say that government communication, 5 people is
you made the point. No, you made the point. No, it's not. Anguisi, let me explain. Okay. This is goods and services. And under capex.
And you know better. And you know better. I'm an observer.
Anguisi, under capex, government communication, 70 million. I'm talking about the priority areas. When you give 50 million to the women's banking, which was a flagship policy program for you. Yes, you are giving them 51 million, but you have given government communication. I'm coming. You've given government communication.
Is that the total allocation required by the women's banking? You don't know.
No.
You don't know at what stage this 50 million will be expended.
No. You don't know. It was an important policy initiative by this government.
So 50 million to start. Do you know what is going to be?
It cannot start a bank. That's the point I'm making. 50 million cannot start a bank. 50 million cannot start a bank.
How much did you start? How much?
No, it cannot start a bank. It cannot start a bank because the Bank of Ghana Act is clear. You need 400 million as capital.
But before you get to capital, you start the process.
So this is just to do research.
No, not research. Not research.
Which facilities?
Was it 400?
Which infrastructure?
It's
not capitalization.
I'm just talking about.
That's not.
I'm just talking about allocation.
capitalization.
And it gives you an indication of the priority areas of the government.
So
looking at this government machinery, OGM alone, government machinery, compensation here is 2.7 billion. But we're talking about lean government.
but we are not. That's what we are
A
saying.
lean government.
You have the figures there.
It is the budget.
But when we put that one, they are going to be what we call legends. What is the 2.? It's not discretionary. What is the 2.5?
This is compensation to the office of government.
So how many employees?
The budget is no.
Okay. It will provide all that to the legend.
So that is where I'm
So what's the legend?
So that's what I'm coming to. How many employees under Nana Akufo-Addo?
So that's why we should all get the budget.
I'm telling you. How many employees under Nana Akufo-Addo? When we chastising of a bloated government, but he used 328 million. You are using 2.7 billion. That's the point I'm making. And it's in your budget. As compensation.
You are ignoring the question.
When
Compensation.
they started the contribution on the budget, said that the omnibus figures do not mean much.
Yeah.
And that the trick is in the detail.
And that's the detail.
No, this is not the detail.
This is omnibus.
This is not the detail.
Those are the details.
This is not the detail. The legend. This is
I think, yeah.
These are the figures. These are the figures.
We can close now. Yes, it's not time, but we can close now.
For other things to also happen. So thank you.
Honorable has to go somewhere.
Yes.
I'm told that they have a very fiery press conference this morning. So you are waiting with bated breath.
And I agree with Enim, but that is the first budget. Looking at our state of the economy, because of all our projects, our programs are dependent on agric. That's why we have the agriculture for
Dr.
economic.
Silfi.
Yes, Dr. Silfi. So I agree with him that we must work to improve and increase the budgetary allocation to agriculture.
That's absolutely
that's
true.
right.
I mean, I think the point that Dr. Silfi makes is absolutely true. Except that I look back and I look at a country like Burkina Faso, which has no project called Planting for Food and Jobs.
Yeah.
We had a project called Planting for Food and Jobs, and we allocated so much resources to it. I ended up going to Burkina Faso for tomatoes and cereals and so on. So it's not the sloganeering which is important. It's the actual work. And there's a lot to learn today from Burkina Faso.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Pratt. Thank you, Honorable Collins. Small boy danger. Thank you very much, Honorable Inusah Fuseini.
If you do not understand the nitty-gritty of economics and so on, you would always...
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining. We much appreciate your time on the channel, and once again says God bless you. Nyame nhyira mo nyinaa ewa adwuma pa mo die de boa ewa channel no so. God bless everybody. God bless you all watching us out there wherever you are. God bless you both in the country and outside the country. We appreciate your time every day, anytime on the channel. Without you, we don't exist. God bless us all. To our cherished newcomers, we also urge you to subscribe for more videos, like and also share to other friends of yours on other platforms as well. Thank you.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.